So today I'm going to do a fun video because these last couple of days for me, it's been a really tough last couple of days with all the personal issue that I will not get to because I'd rather stay personal in terms of talking about those issues and kind of keep it to myself. But for me to kind of cheer me up a little bit, and certainly for anyone that probably are going through a tough last couple of weeks to kind of cheer you guys up, let's do a bandwagon guide of the 2021 MLS playoffs. Now, what this bandwagon guide is basically, let's say if you're one of those 13 fan base that unfortunately did not make it to the playoffs this season, and you want to still root for a team in the playoffs and hope that they, of course, will win an MLS Cup, well, that's what this video is all about, where I'm going to talk about each of these playoff teams and why you should, of course, join their bandwagon, and why maybe joining this team bandwagon might not be for you. And again, you don't have to take this seriously because, again, since this is a very fun video, I tends to create some wacky kind of ideas, but at times there are some truth in terms of why you want to join the bandwagon of these teams. And obviously, you know, for you, of course, that is watching this video, you know, if you like different style of soccer, like maybe attacking or defensive kind of style of soccer, then I'll of course mention throughout this video which team might fit that style. So we start off with number one, and we'll start with the Eastern Conference with the Supporters Shield winner, the New England Revolution. Why do you want to join the Revs bandwagon? Well, it's pretty clear that they are the best team in the league after winning the Supporters Shield, and that they probably are the most complete team in the league. And if you want to watch a team that is basically have no weakness whatsoever in their team, where they're strong on the attack, strong on the defense, and strong in the midfield, then the Revs are a perfect team to do so, and not to mention the fact that they're also a very balanced team. But in terms of why you probably shouldn't join the New England Revolution bandwagon is mainly because, yeah, there was that thing called the Supporters Shield curse, which definitely exists, and that, you know, the last time a Supporters Shield team that went on to win MLS Cup was 2017, the Toronto FC team. But then, of course, after that, it's been kind of a while since the last team, of course, won the Supporters Shield, went on to win MLS Cup. I think the other one was the 2014 LA Galaxy. But my point is that if you're, of course, bandwagoning a team and expect to win an MLS Cup, and even though I talk about how New England, with how balanced their team is, and that they look like they're going to be the favorites of reaching MLS Cup, you know, that Supporters Shield curse still does exist. And not to mention the fact that this team is going to be tested in terms of their first game after having been playing in 3 weeks. That could maybe be a chance where maybe you shouldn't jump on the bandwagon. The fact that, you know, the Revs could fall off in the first hurdle, and we've seen before where Supporters Shield winner have fall off after the first hurdle in the playoffs. And that, speaking of that of course was how the Philadelphia Union was last season. But in case if you, of course, want to join the Union bandwagon again, well, the reason why you want to join the bandwagon is because if you want to have what I call last year the people's team of MLS, because, you know, the Union, they promote a team that believe in their homegrown talent and believe on the fact that they're going to be thriving, and that this year, although they haven't really played as much homegrown, or at least their homegrown isn't as spectacular as what we saw last season with Brendan Aronson and Mark McKenzie, they still have some really good homegrown talented on their squad. So if you're kind of like that kind of person that wants to see a team that have homegrown players and be successful in MLS, the Union is definitely that team to be. Now, the reason why you probably shouldn't join the Union bandwagon is that if you're expected to see a game where it's kind of exciting and there's going to be some crazy action that's going to be happening, and game tends to be very open, then the Union is probably a team that you probably shouldn't bandwagon, because most of the Union game I've watched this season hasn't really been that exciting. And that's not a knock on Jim Curtin and how he sets up the team. It's perfectly fine that, you know, you don't really need to be the most exciting team in the league to success. I mean, you can basically play some boring blends of soccer, but as long as you can get wins, it doesn't matter. I mean, that sometimes could be successful. Or in other words, if you play that pragmatic kind of soccer, you know, it might not be fun to watch for neutral, but it gets you that sometimes work out. I feel like that's what the Union are, where they're not really the flashiest team in the league, and they're not a team that is just going to be dominating and putting up crooked number on the goal scoring chart every single week. But what they do is that they're very effective in terms of scoring enough goals, play good defense, and grind out results. So if you're a person that don't want to see a team that always just grind out resort, then the Union is probably not the team you want to bandwagon. But now moving on to Nashville SC, and why you should join the Nashville SC bandwagon. Well, if you haven't bandwagon last season of their miraculous run to the playoffs, well, it's never too late to join. So, and especially the fact that Nashville being a small market team, if you are a person that likes to believe in small market team, Nashville is definitely going to be the one that you would like to bandwagon. And especially if you want to see a team that always fly under the radar in terms of the media. I mean, this season, I swear, Nashville, I'm kind of surprised their fans haven't really complained about how they haven't been getting a lot of media attention, even though this team clearly should done so with the way how they performed this season. But if you're kind of like one of those people that maybe like to see a team that's flying under radar and doesn't mention a lot by the media, then Nashville is definitely the team to watch. Now, why you shouldn't be bandwagoning this Nashville team? Well, it's kind of the same reason with the Union. They don't play the most entertaining brand of soccer. I mean, this year they tried to do so, but then in the last couple of games, it seems like they're kind of going back to that old brand of soccer that they played last year, which was a very pragmatic and kind of just a hard to break down kind of team, and just do enough on the attack to maybe get draws or wins. And again, if you're a person that likes to see crazy scoreline like 3-2 or 4-3 or high score game, then watching a Nashville game probably is not going to get you there, especially in the playoffs. Now, number 4, we got NYCFC. Why you should join the NYCFC bandwagon? Well, because their attack is amazing, and the fact that they have the Golden Boot winner in Tati Castellanos. He's going to score goals and able to produce. And also, in general, if you like to see goals, this is definitely a team that will produce that in game in and game out. Just ignore the fact that they went through that dry spell in the regular season. I mean, they kind of fixed that, and now they should be heading into the playoffs well. But if you like a team that likes to attack, then this is definitely a team that you want to bandwagon. Now, why you shouldn't be bandwagoning bandwagoning NYCFC is that if you can't handle like playoff futility or frustration of seeing your team getting an early playoff exit, then yeah, NYCFC is probably not the team you want to bandwagon, because as much as they have a lot of talent in their team, they just for whatever reason can't get it right in the postseason, and you expect this team to probably fail and get eliminated in the first or second round. So if you can't handle that, which I'm pretty sure a lot of bandwagoners can't handle that, then NYCFC is probably not the team you want to bandwagon. Moving on to Atlanta United. Why you should bandwagon Atlanta? Well, I mean, a lot of MLS fans tend to like to bandwagon Atlanta and want to join their so-called best fans in the league. And besides that, you also look at the style of soccer they play. I mean, at times, yes, they do kind of play some brand of soccer, but at times they can play some exciting brand of soccer, and not to mention they have probably the most lethal full striker in the league in Joseph Martinez. And if you want him to see him score goals and continue his incredible ball status with this team, and also ever since he came into the league, then yeah, Atlanta United is definitely the team that you want to bandwagon. Why you shouldn't be bandwagoning Atlanta? Well, if you can't handle like the obnoxious or just kind of the overreaction from their fan base, yeah, you probably shouldn't be bandwagoning this team. And also, let's not to mention the fact that if you can't handle giving up late goals late in the game, then yeah, Atlanta is probably not a team that you want to bandwagon, because this is a team that always tends to frustrate you in terms of the fact that they score an early goal and then they don't score another one, and then somehow they gave up a late goal to tie the game up. Or in this case, in the playoffs, it looks like they could potentially score an early goal, but they gave up a late goal and then lose in a penalty kick shootout or even in extra time. Orlando. So for Orlando, why you should bandwagon this team is because again this is a very fun team to watch at times when Oscar Pereira actually allow his team to really play that free flowing soccer that we seen last season, which unfortunately this year we haven't seen as much of this. But they do still have some really good talented player on their team. I mean, guys like Nani and Daryl DK, those are really good players that I know a lot of people would easily see those players and they want to bandwagon that team. But if you are if the reason why you don't want to bandwagon Orlando City is because this is a team that has had problem in terms of beating good opponent, and that if you are expecting being a team that could go deep into playoffs, then Orlando City probably won't be that team. I mean, I'm not saying that they probably won't make a deep playoff run, or this is just a dig on the fact that Orlando City can get eliminated early, but knowing how they have struggled in terms of beating good team, and especially at times they can be very frustrated to watch going for on the attacking end, then Orlando City probably is not the team that you want to bandwagon. But finally, last team in the Eastern Conference that you might want to bandwagon is the New York Red Bulls, and why you should bandwagon that team. Hey, I mean, it's the New York Red Bulls. They're a team that consistently make the playoffs, and the fact that they also play a very good defensive kind of game, where if you're a guy that likes to watch defense play and you like to make sure your defense is the most structurally sound, then the New York Red Bulls is the team for you to watch, because again they have one of the best defense in the league, and I think they also, in terms of stats, giving up some of the fewest shots per game that they have this season. So this is a team that don't give up a lot of shots, and everybody knows when you don't give up a lot of shots, you're obviously not going to concede a lot of goals. Now, why you shouldn't be bandwagoning the New York Red Bulls? Well, see NYCFC and see what I basically will just carbon copy what I said about NYCFC, where if you can't handle playoff disappointment and you can't handle maybe even an early playoff exit, then the New York Red Bulls probably is a team that you don't want to bandwagon when the playoffs begin. So now let's move on to the Western Conference, and we start with the Colorado Rapids. Well, why you should bandwagon the Rapids? I mean, if you are a person like myself that loves a feel-good story, or you like a team that don't really have a lot of star-studded player, but you love kind of a hard-working kind of team, the Rapids is a perfect team for you to bandwagon, because that's basically the way that this team operates. I mean, it's such a feel-good story of how Robin Fraser has got this team to the top of the Western Conference, despite the fact that they don't have any star-studded player, and a lot of that has to do with the hard-working ability and the way that they always find ways to get wins at the end of the game. Why you shouldn't bandwagon the Colorado Rapids? Oh, this is where it gets tough, and this is why I said earlier, I might reach a little bit in terms of talk about why you shouldn't bandwagon this team. And I guess maybe the reason is that, they still had troubles in terms of beating against good team. And I guess maybe I'll say the same thing with the Rapids, like I say against Orlando City, where, since they haven't beat a lot of good opponent and haven't had that statement win where they have been able to beat the best, they're probably not going to go that deep. Or at the very best, they're probably not going to be like that top team that can be the favorites in every single game and potentially went on to win MLS Cup. The Seattle Sounders. Why you should bandwagon the Seattle Sounders? Because it's the Seattle flipping Sounders. I mean, why wouldn't you want to bandwagon where, if you're a person that just love winning, which I'm pretty sure every bandwagoner always wants to bandwagon a team that wins, the Seattle Sounders is a perfect team for you, because you know that they're going to win at the end, and even if they don't win, at the very minimum, they will get to MLS Cup, and if you just want to see your team that you bandwagon to get to the MLS Cup, the Seattle Sounders is basically the easiest team for you to bandwagon. Well, why you shouldn't be bandwagoning the Seattle Sounders? Again, same reason I said about Atlanta. They do have some obnoxious fans, and if you can't handle the obnoxious from some of your fellow fans, then the Seattle Sounders probably is not a team that you want to bandwagon. Now moving on to Sporting KC and why you should bandwagon this team. Well, again, if you like to see a team that could be able to take on the best team in the league and able to win against them, then Sporting KC is a team for you to do, because I truly believe that, when Sporting KC at their very best, they can definitely be the best team in the league, and especially with that attack and also with that defense that, this season quietly I haven't really mentioned the fact that this Sporting KC defense has had a really decent season. I mean, everybody has been focused on their attack, and some people would still feel like their defense is kind of like lacking or leaking these last couple of seasons. But this year, it seems like it's been fixed for the most part, and at least this team, of course, has been able to do well because of mainly with them doing well on the attack and also on the defense. Now, the reason why you probably shouldn't be bandwagoning Sporting KC is that if you are a person that wants your head coach to make some subs or change things up, then yeah, Sporting KC is not a team you want to bandwagon, because we know that Peter Vermees is infamous in terms of his substitution method, and hence I think a lot of the reason why some of those injuries happen at the end of the season is basically you run his team on the ground, and we'll see whether or not if that's going to come back to haunt them in the playoffs. But if you're kind of a guy that wants your coach to make some subs and wants to kind of fresh things up, then yeah, Sporting KC is definitely not the team you want to bandwagon. The Portland Timbers. Why you should bandwagon the Portland Timbers? Well, they're kind of a team that can secretly make a deep playoff run because they have the pieces on the attack to do so. And also, if you're like to see goals, then the Portland Timbers is a team to bandwagon, because when you have the likes of Sebastian Blanco, Jimmy Char, and also a healthy Phoenix Goda back in the starting 11, and not to also forget to mention Darren Asprilla, who I'm pretty sure Darren Asprilla, if we know that what Darren Asprilla has done this season has been nothing spectacular, but after that bicycle kick goal that he scored, I'm convinced that he is going to go supernova in this November, and he's literally going to be scoring game winners every single game. So if you like a guy that tends to score game winner and comes up with big moment, the Portland Timbers is another team you want to bandwagon. Well, why you shouldn't be bandwagoning the Portland Timbers? Well, get ready for some frustration in terms of watching your defense kind of fall apart, because this team's back line, although it has gone better in the latter part of the season, is still relatively weak. And not to forget to mention the fact that, if you're also can't handle, heartbreaking losses or your team giving up late goals, then yeah, the Timbers, of course, probably might not be a team you should bandwagon, though I think that kind of maybe is a little bit of a stretch. Maybe that's something that's valid for last season, because at least this season they have fixed sort of that issue in terms of them leaking late goals and have trouble in terms of closing out game. But now moving on to my team, Minnesota. So why you should bandwagon the Loons? Well, I guess if you want a good redemption story, you want to see a team that suffer a heartbreaking loss and able to bounce back in the very next season, then Minnesota is a perfect team to root for, because at least that's what I hope this Loons team can do so. And at time also, if you like defense and good goalkeeping, this team could also be a team that could be well to bandwagon, although judging by how they play in the last couple of games, maybe I probably should add that to the why you shouldn't be bandwagoning in Minnesota United. Which, speaking of which, why you shouldn't bandwagon this Loons team? Well, get ready for frustration with the way that the attack just can't score, even if they need to do so. And not to mention, this is a Minnesota team. I mean, when you're a Minnesota team, you expect to have some disappointment, and I'm ready for it, whether or not if they maybe have disappointment in the first round, or maybe they underachieve like they have been throughout the season. So yeah, if you're a person that don't like heartbreaks in the end, or a team that kind of underachieved, then Minnesota is definitely not a team you want to bandwagon in the playoffs. The Vancouver Whitecaps. Why you should bandwagon this team? Well, it's kind of similar to what I said about the Colorado Rapids. If you want a team that doesn't have a lot of star-studded players, though I argue guys like Brian White and Ryan Gull, those two guys are really starting to become bona fide star player for this Whitecaps team. But in general, if you want to see a team that is kind of having a feel-good story, or you're just kind of a person that wants to see an underdog succeed, the Whitecaps is a perfect team for you to bandwagon. Now, why you shouldn't be bandwagoning this Whitecaps team? Well, as much as you would love to see an underdog story, you know that old saying, eventually the clock will struck midnight. Well, you just feel like this Whitecaps team, you know, they hope that they can continue the Cinderella run that they're in, but ultimately we've seen before in this league, as good as there are some great feel good story in the playoffs, usually they do strike midnight more time or not. And you know, I think the Whitecaps, there could still be a chance that maybe they can go all the way, but you know, more likely or not, they need a Cinderella run like that. And like I said, more times or not, the clock will struck midnight, and I just feel like the Whitecaps eventually that will happen in the playoffs. And if you cannot handle that, then yeah, that's probably a team you probably shouldn't be bandwagoning. And then finally, we move on to Real Salt Lake of why you should bandwagon RSL. Well, you know, if you like chaos soccer and if you like to see a team that plays some of the most open-ended soccer and will give you like repeat heart attack every single minute, then RSL is definitely a team you want to bandwagon, because I swear this is a team, especially when Pablo Mastroeni decided to open up and decided to just kind of go nonstop on the attacking end. Yeah, you know this is good. They're in, RSL is in for a high scoring kind of affair. And again, this also goes to people that, you know, in general, if you like to see goals and you like to see some high scoring games, then RSL is a perfect team to bandwagon. Now, why you shouldn't be bandwagoning RSL is that those are also kind of the reason why it has gotten this team some painful loss this season. So, you know, as much as you like to watch your team have those roller coaster kind of emotion, most of those time those roller coaster end in a way where you're basically just going down and down and more down. So yeah, that's just kind of a warning of the fact that as chaotic as you expect to see your team play, you know how it's going to end. It's probably not going to end in a happy ending. But there you have it. That is pretty much it for my bandwagon guide, and you know a guide for any fans that wants to bandwagon one of these playoff team, or if you're if you're a fan of those 13 teams that unfortunately did not make it to the dance, this is kind of a guide for you to kind of cheer for one of these team in the playoffs. I mean, honestly, for me, I of course will root for Minnesota when the playoff comes. But if you ask me if there is a team that I need to bandwagon, and if I had to choose who I would bandwagon, it's no doubt the Vancouver Whitecaps. I mean, you know me. I'm kind of a guy that loves feel-good story, and I love an underdog story, and I just kind of mentioned it. In the fact that the Vancouver Whitecaps is a perfect team to bandwagon if you love that feel-good story and love an underdog to potentially succeed or even have a Cinderella kind of run. But let me know in the comments below which team you would love to bandwagon, if you want to bandwagon a playoff team, or you're one of those fans of a team that unfortunately did not make it to the playoffs. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.